Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome. I'm Travel Olivier with the Pipestone County Museum, and it's my pleasure to present Susan Hoskins, our director. She is our Coffee Talk presenter today, and she's going to tell us about the SS Pipestone County. Quick question, how many of you knew we had an SS Pipestone County ship? That's kind of the general consensus, is people didn't know, so we have a lot to learn today. So welcome, Susan.
All right, thank you. So this is a neat story, and we have information in a file that we keep in the filing cabinet. Every now and then it gets out, and we're like, oh yeah, this is really neat. And probably within the last 10 years, we had a donation that really helped illustrate this story. So I'm going to be able to share some of those photographs with you here today. So just to kind of start out, this is during World War I. So, and it had to do with the Fourth Liberty Loan. So in order to fund the World War I effort, the government raised money in a few different ways. They raised taxes, they were selling Liberty loan bonds. So the Liberty loan bonds were sold to banks, they were sold to corporations, but they were mostly sold to individual citizens. And they actually came in denominations from $50 to $100,000. But they were more weighted toward the lower end, which is what the general public would purchase. Actually, 50% of all the bonds were sold at the lowest denomination, and another third of them were sold at the $100 level. So it was really, it adds up. Nationwide, 66 million individual bonds were sold. So the first Liberty Loan campaign, they did these in phases, in waves. The first one was in April of 1917, just 22 days after the declaration of war, and Pipestone County delivered $101,900. It was far under the allotted amount that the county was asked for. For the second Liberty Loan, which was in October of 1917, the government asked Pipestone County citizens for $425,000, nearly double the figure that they had asked for the first time, in which we fell short. At the last minute, Pipestone County surpassed the allotted amount and submitted $439,750. Just really came through. It was then discovered that the real quota intended for Pipestone County for the second Liberty Loan was only $325,000. So we had really oversubscribed. In the third Liberty Loan, which was in April the next year, 1918, Pipestone County's allotment was $480,000 for real, and came in at $681,000. So really going above and beyond. So that brings us to the fourth Liberty Loan Drive. It was issued in September of 1918, and the nation asked Pipestone County citizens for $870,000, and Pipestone County loaned $1,065,800. So it was leading all the counties in the 9th district, and it was with this amazing response that the citizens were rewarded with the naming of the ship, the USS Pipestone County. There was also a fifth Liberty Loan, or they called it the Victory Loan. It was taken when the war was over, but there were bills to pay. So Pipestone County was asked at that time for $6,750, and in the final show of patriotism, delivered $770,300. So just amazing support here in Pipestone County. So the Liberty Loan, back to the fourth Liberty bond campaign. The Liberty Bond campaigns, they were really aggressive. You might get that from the dollar amounts raised. That's really to say the least. They had celebrities involved, such as Mary Pickford, Lillian Gish, Douglas Fairbanks. They held rallies nationwide to sell the purchases as the patriotic thing to do. Charlie Chaplin made a short film at his own expense called The Bond, which promoted the purchase of Liberty bonds. The Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts were enlisted to help sell the bonds, and famous artists were enlisted to make the posters for it. And of course, the World War I wartime posters are memorable. So they manufactured vast amounts of promotional material. And at the local level, a local bond board was organized, really organized, canvassed the communities. So this actually shows the local Liberty Bond girl, Lois Gaither, with a local soldier and sailor. And it's just a promotional photograph. That is Donald Chesley and William Fletcher. And they were involved in selling the bonds. So in 1918, as part of the aggressive marketing plan, prizes and competitions were introduced. So S.B. Dewey, the county chairman of the Liberty Loan Committee, received a telegram from the chairman of the 9th District Liberty Loan Committee outlining the latest contest to sell more bonds. And it reads, "We have just received a telegram from Washington granting the privilege of naming 4 warships and 10 tanks. 4 ships shall be named after the 4 counties having the 4 largest % of distribution. 10 tanks shall be named after the 10 counties having the next 10 largest percentages of distribution." So, Pipestone County wins. The citizens of Pipestone County rose to the challenge. Pipestone County placed first in the 9th District. 69.9% of Pipestone County's population purchased Liberty bonds in the 4th issue. Now, the 9th Federal Reserve District comprised of the states of Minnesota, just upper Michigan, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. By the way, so Pipestone County was 69.9% of the population participated. So that's what the prize was on, not particularly the dollar amount. So Wheatland County, Montana came in second at 55%. And the closest geographically to Pipestone County was Nobles County. They came in with 46.8%, and they had a tank named after them. So it is, this was a competition, and, Pipestone County won. So there's a little bit of banter in the newspapers. And it said in the paper, the Worthington Progressive, in a very sarcastic sort of way, suggests that the USS Pipestone be floated on one of Worthington's lakes so the people from Pipestone can come down and see it once in a while. So there was actually a lot of confusion and misinformation as to what they had just won. See, there's headlines of a battleship, of a warship being named. What had been won by the residents of Pipestone County was the naming of a steam-powered cargo ship. It was manufactured by the American International Shipbuilding Corporation, AISC. It was they were under contract with the American or the U.S. government, and they produced ships out of the Hog Island shipyards, which was south of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And in this picture, we have, this is another local promotional photograph of Liberty Bond girl Lois Gaither with the Liberty Bond Committee chairman, who was also Pipestone's mayor, S.B. Dewey. So Lois was 22 years old. She was actually named to be the sponsor of the ship, which is very cool. She, along with a whole entourage of people from Pipestone County, traveled to Hog Island to personally launch the ship. And that was a trip of a lifetime. So Hog Island was the historic name of an area in Pennsylvania along the Delaware River. It was literally an island originally, but it's actually now part of the mainland. It's the current home to the Philadelphia International Airport. That's Hog Island. You would never know it. In 1917, as part of the war effort, the U.S. government contracted American International Shipbuilding Corporation to produce ships and actually build a shipyard at Hog Island. At the time of World War I, then, the Hog Island shipyard was the largest in the world. It had 50 slipways to launch ships. All in all, 122 ships were built there, mostly cargo ships, a few transport ships, and the facility was closed and dismantled in 1921. So this is just a blip on the map. So Lois Gaither had duties as the ship's sponsor. She, her mother, and some friends traveled first to Chicago because they had to do some shopping for a new outfit, as you would. Her mother wrote several letters back home to the family, dear home folks, and they are remarkable. She's commenting about their trip along the way, and really, as a mother, I could totally relate to everything she was saying. It was great. So they took the train. They went first to Chicago, where they did some serious shopping, and her mother says, it's such a job to shop in the big city. She said her feet hurt from walking all over Chicago, but they got the perfect dress. And she says, the dress is a beautiful dream, all Georgette with tiny ruffles made over the silk with a crushed girdle. So in this photo, this is Lois right here. And she's actually standing with several other sponsors for other ships that were going to be launched that day. There were actually 5 ships that were launched the day the Pipestone County was. So then they went on train after Chicago. They went on train to Philadelphia, where Lois had some photo sessions. And she received telegrams from all over. She received bouquets from those at home and well-wishers, and they got to take an early tour of the shipyards. And her mother wrote, Lois is the very prettiest sponsor. And this, I actually found a version of this photograph in the official U.S. Navy archive. They're just kind of looking different directions, so it's the exact same photo. So Hog Island, on Memorial Day, 1919, Hog Island set a record by launching 5 ships in 48 minutes. And the SS Pipestone County was the 4th of those 5 ships launched at Hog Island on May 30th, 1919. So Hog Island, who had a serious manufacturing job going here, they used prefabricated sections made at steel yards and locations around the country, and then they were assembled at the shipyards. The SS Pipestone County was a steel cargo ship. It had a steam-powered turbine engine driving a single propeller. It was 401 feet long, 54 feet wide. It had a draft of 24 feet 9 inches. It was rated at 8,000 tons, and it had a speed of 10.4 knots. Now we get into some really great photos. So the also present at the launching, and they are right down there, literally going to launch the ship. Besides her mother, Mrs. Nancy Gaither, Lois, were Marie Britt, Rose Ryan, Angie Hermanson, Marion Myrtle Millerin, attorney C.T. Howard, Father Joseph Mangan, S.B. Dewey, and J.H. Robson, all of Pipestone, Robert Kennedy of Trotsky, Patrick Dugan of Hardwick, Wayne Nason of Washington, D.C., and Frank Marshall of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So they had Pipestone people who weren't living in Pipestone show up at this great event. So here's the actual christening of the ship. And this is my very favorite photograph of Lois, and she is the prettiest sponsor. As official sponsor, she was actually the one to christen the ship by smashing a bottle on its hull at the launch. And although the story is a little conflicted, it is said that the Pipestone County contingent switched the bottle of champagne for a bottle of water taken from Winnewissa Falls, and spoke the word. She was to speak the words. I have a little note card, like it says, "You should say this." The words composed by S.B. Dewey. "Ship, Pipestone County, cherished offspring of patriotism, I baptize thee. Thy newborn prow I asperse not with the time-honored artificial fluid of foreign lands, but with nature's sweeter product from our own dear Winnewissa Falls. Pipestone County, I bid you Godspeed." So here's that ship again. The board reads, "Fourth ship launched May 30, Pipestone County, Way 16, Hog Island's 33rd ship launched, AISC." That's the shipbuilding company. But they have bunting, they have flags, they have so many people there. And then there's our contingent up there, and then it's launched. Isn't that remarkable? I like this guy up here. He knows he's in the picture. Yeah. Yep. So according to Lois's mother, in her letters, this spectacular photograph, both of the actual ship launching photographs and several others, were left for them at the hotel by a newspaper reporter. That's how they got copies. I had assumed that it would have been an official photographer supplied each contingent with these photos, but it was a newspaper reporter that just dropped them off. So Lois kept many mementos from her experience, including news clippings, photographs, trinkets. In 2010, Lois's family donated her memorabilia to the Pipestone County Museum, where it can help tell the story of Pipestone County. So it is, a lot of this is actually currently on display in Gallery 2, helping to tell the story of Pipestone County in World War I. And here we have a very nice box in which the bottle was kept. Of course, the bottle's gone, but the gold braid is still there. It reads AISC, Hog Island, Pennsylvania, and an engraved plaque on the box. And that is what it says there with her name on it. So I just think, I can't imagine as this young woman gets to go do all this. And then she actually came back to Pipestone County. Within a few years, she had married Ralph Hunter, a young man from Marshall, and her little branch of the family left Pipestone County, but these objects came back to us so we can enjoy that story. So that is the story of the USS Pipestone County. Not to be confused, and this is not my talk today, about the USS Pipestone, which was built during World War II. We'll get into that another time. So actually, after the war, The Pipestone County was operated by the Cosmopolitan Shipping Company for years. And it was sold in 1940 to Seas Shipping Company, Inc., for service in South and East Africa. But it was actually sunk by enemy action on April 21st, 1942. It was torpedoed near Cape Henry, Virginia. And they actually knew which U-boat had done it, because I guess there was some interaction with them, like the U-boat captain threw them some supplies or something, surfaced and said, here's some life jackets or something. And it was in 2016, and we were just talking about this just came up, that they actually found the U-boat sunk off the coast of the United States, and it's the one that had sunk the Pipestone County. So, yeah, the U-boat sunk Pipestone County, April 21st, 1942. July of that same year, it was sunk. But it was so interesting for that to come up in the news just in 2016 again. Well, thank you guys. We have so I just had to put this picture of Lois back up because it's so fun. And her mother wrote such great letters, and they're in our museum collection here, which really helped illustrate their whole journey out east. She said it was really hot.
She was an editorial.
She really had some great comments. Said they were all wilting. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.